They say every man has two lives, and the second begins when he realizes that his energy is not infinite. Now think about this. What if the power to create life, the very force that makes you a man, is also the fuel that could make you unstoppable? What if the difference between mediocrity and mastery isn't more motivation, more caffeine, or another self-help book, but the ability to control one thing, your seed? Because the truth is, the ancient masters already knew what most men today have forgotten. Semen retention isn't just abstinence, it's transformation. It's how warriors became legends. It's how ordinary men became masters of their mind, body, and soul. Let's start with the basics. Semen retention is the deliberate practice of conserving your sexual energy, instead of wasting it through constant release, and redirecting that energy into creativity, productivity, and spiritual strength. Taoist teachers like Mantak Chia called it the foundation of vitality. Philosophers like Pythagoras, Plato, and Da Vinci practiced it to fuel their genius. And yet today, most men are completely disconnected from it. They chase pleasure, drain their energy, and wonder why they feel weak, distracted, and unmotivated. But let's ask the real question. Why would anyone give up one of life's greatest pleasures, the orgasm? The answer takes us deep into something most men never truly understand: spiritual power. In nearly every spiritual tradition, from Buddhism to Hinduism to Christianity, celibacy wasn't punishment. It was a tool for transformation. Because when a man stops living as a slave to his impulses, he starts becoming a master of himself. Let me ask you something. Have you ever noticed that no matter how much pleasure you chase, it never lasts? You get the high, and then you feel empty again. That's because every form of pleasure, sex, food, money, dopamine, is temporary. You can feed the body endlessly, but the soul still starves. The ancient masters understood this. They said real happiness isn't in chasing desire, it's in transcending it. And semen retention was one of the fastest ways to do that. When you retain your energy, you stop scattering your attention. Your focus turns inward. And when attention turns inward, it connects you to something deeper, your true self. In Zen, they called it attention to the source. Because when you can hold your attention, truly hold it, you stop being a victim of every impulse, every urge, every fleeting emotion. You become grounded, unshakable. But to do that, you first have to understand where your attention is being stolen. Every screen, every app, every ad is designed to hijack your attention, especially your sexual attention. Our biology evolved to chase reproduction, but in a world of instant access, that primal drive is constantly exploited. Money, food, sex. These are the three desires that dominate human life. And of them, sex has the strongest grip. When your attention is consumed by lust, your energy leaks out like water from a cracked vessel. You feel drained, unmotivated, unfocused. But when you master your attention, when you reclaim your sexual energy, you free up massive mental and physical power. That's where transformation begins. Semen retention isn't superstition, it's biology. It's your body's most concentrated form of energy. It contains zinc, phosphorus, magnesium, DNA material, the literal building blocks of life. When you retain it, your body reabsorbs and recycles those nutrients. You think clearer. You feel more confident. Your testosterone rises. Your posture changes, Your eyes sharpen, your voice deepens. That's why men who practice retention often say, "I feel magnetic." People notice you. You carry presence. It's because you're no longer leaking your essence. You're radiating it. Taoist masters called this life force Jing. Indian yogis called it prana. Both believed it was the link between the physical and spiritual realms, the bridge between body and soul. And when it's conserved, it becomes the foundation of vitality, creativity, and spiritual awakening. Now, let's talk energy. Real energy, not caffeine or hype. The human body is an energetic system. In the East, they call it the chakra system. 7 energy centers running along your spine. When you retain your semen, you're activating the root chakra, the foundation of strength and survival. But here's the secret. When that energy is no longer released, it doesn't just sit there. It rises. It ascends through the chakras, from base instincts to higher consciousness. This is what the yogis called Kundalini awakening, when your sexual energy transforms into spiritual energy. As it rises, it sharpens your intuition, clears your mind, and expands your awareness. You start feeling more creative, more connected, more alive. In other words, you stop living like an animal chasing pleasure and start living like a man pursuing purpose. Even in the West, this wasn't new. The ancient alchemists believed that the greatest transformation wasn't turning lead into gold. It was turning base desire into spiritual power. They called it transmutation. Pythagoras believed semen held alchemical properties, a divine fire that could be transformed into genius. Leonardo da Vinci, Isaac Newton, Beethoven, all were said to have practiced forms of semen retention, and science today confirms what they sensed intuitively. Semen is rich in phosphorus, literally called the light bringer. It fuels the brain, stimulates creativity, and strengthens neural activity. When you retain it, your brain adapts. It redirects that reproductive energy into creative and goal-driven energy. You start thinking sharper, acting faster, and creating with purpose. That's not spirituality. That's neurochemistry. Semen retention isn't about denial. It's about direction. It's not about losing pleasure. It's about gaining power. When you conserve your seed, you conserve your strength, physical, mental, and spiritual. You join a lineage of warriors, sages, and creators who understood the truth. Control your energy, and you control your destiny. The choice, brother, is yours. Because energy doesn't lie. Where it flows, life grows. This is Beyond Average. Stay strong, stay disciplined, and never settle for less.